Start பண்ணலாம் sir.
Okay, I'm starting. Good morning, dear friends. This is Ranganathan again from the ABK, which is Dosokai Tamil Nadu Center. To commemorate the Japan-India 70th year of establishing the diplomatic relations, we undertook the long journey of 50 Japanese themes to be explained over 50 weeks using the Japanese philately or the stamps, because each stamp has got a history and a culture behind it. We've been going through it, and I'm happy that we have come to the 41st. That means we are left with only 9 more to be presented. We have come from the double digit to single digit presentations remaining still. Thank you all very much for joining us. We also would like to thank the Zoom and the others who've been helping us and guiding us, and especially the YouTube, which has been taking this message across to all of you. Thank you all very much. Let us start the day with a bright stamp. This is a picture that was taken by me in Osaka, and most of the pictures that I got are taken during that period that I've indicated, 1972 to 1989, or the period during which number of anniversaries and events have taken place in Japan. For each of these anniversaries and events, the Japanese postal authorities have issued stamps. We are going to look at all the stamps issued on different occasions and look at the background of these stamps. Thank you all very much again. Let's go. In 1972, the Japanese Railway Centenary was commemorated with the Japanese Post Office to commemorate this Japanese government celebration of 1972 as a centenary year of the railways by issuing 3 stamps, one of Super Express train Shinkansen, the first one, the E0 series, service inauguration of the thing, which is written as a painting, and the class locomotives that were manufactured and run in Japan by the Japanese Railways. The first stamp was issued on the 15th March 1972. The other 2 were issued on 14th October 1972. The first stamp is 26 by 36 millimeters, multicolor stamp. It's a commemorative issue, printed in photogravure. The other 2 stamps issued in 1974, October 14th. The 30 by 28, again multicolor, and they both were released, one with photogravure, the first one, the second one with the offset photography. Both are of value 20, all the 3 are value of 20 Japanese yen. Now, 10th anniversary of Japanese school system. Japanese school system is mainly described as a 6-3-3-4 system based on the number of years a student has to spend in each school. Schools in Japan are subdivided into preschool, elementary school, which takes about 6 years, junior high school takes 3 years, high school, which takes 3 more years, and 4 more years for those who study in the university. The compulsory study includes attending elementary school and junior high school, which is 6 and 3, 9 years. One of the most interesting facts about the Japanese school system is that there is no practice of requiring children to repeat a year. Furthermore, it is impossible to fail in an exam. Compulsory education in Japan is free. Still, the country provides the ability to choose between the public and private school. It's a nice stamp. And then the stamp was issued 1972, October 5th, 26 by 30, commemorative stamp, printed in photogravure, 20 yen face value. The 100th anniversary of the Japanese Customs Service. Western countries which had succeeded in arranging treaties of peace and amity then demanded that the shogunate conclude treaties of commerce, which had been their original aim. In 1858, the first Treaty of Amity and Commerce was signed with the United States, and this was followed by similar treaties with four others and led to the opening of four more ports. The successive cabinets during the Meiji era were therefore continuously involved in the recovery of customs duty autonomy. The customs service came into full effect in 1872. So this stamp commemorating the centenary was issued in 1972 and then printed in photogravure, 20 yen space value, and it shows the different ships that are bringing in cargo. Then the Universal Postal Union Centenary 1974. Okay. Now, if you see the first stamp, which is in vertical format, 20 yen space value, shows the Universal Postal Union emblem. The second one is a fan painting by Sotatsu Kawaraya. Two stamps released in 1974 on October 9th. First is 26 by 36, the other one is 51 by 30, and they were printed in photogravure of respectively 20 yen the first yen face value and 50 yen the next one. The foundation of the Universal Postal Union can be traced back to the Paris Postal Conference in May 1863. The Treaty of Berne, agreeing universal transmission of mail and uniform postal rates, was signed on 9th October 1874, which came into effect on 1st July 1875. The organization founded was known by its present name from 1879. Then the 50th anniversary of the wedding of the Emperor and Empress. The wedding of Emperor Hirohito and Empress Nagako took place on January 26, 1924. Her Majesty the Nagako Empress was 20 and her groom 22 at that time. Less than 2 years later, on December 25, 1925, Prince Hirohito ascended to the throne as she became the Empress. Their golden jubilee was celebrated on 26 January 1974. The two stamps and a souvenir sheet were issued. The souvenir sheet, of course, has both the same stamp, issued in 1974 on January 26, 39 by 28 millimeters, and the photography printed, and 20 yen is the face value of these stamps. Then, centenary of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, which is celebrated in 1974. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, TMPD, also in Japanese called as Keishicho, serves as the prefectural police department of Tokyo Metropolis. Founded in 1874, is headed by a Superintendent General who is appointed by the National Public Safety Commission and approved by the Prime Minister. The Koban system, which is very, very unique in Japan, which is a police box, a single one-room police post is created. It may be 1 or 2 rooms office is squeezed in a street corner in most of the prominent places in the city, and it is staffed 24 hours a day by the police officers called as Omawari-san or honorable walkabouts, which they spend much of their time strolling by walking or by bicycling around the neighborhood to make sure no crime takes place, or when people need their help, they are there handy. And you can always reach the Koban, which is a very, very friendly place. You don't have to be afraid of reaching a police. You can check. So many times the Omawari-san also check any of the foreigners for their ID proof and other things, because unlike the earlier years, now there are so many foreigners there, and many of them are come through work permits and legal. There are also others who are still extending beyond their visa. So occasionally these checks takes place. Nothing worry about it. They are very friendly guys. Then International Red Cross Blood Donation Year 1974. The Red Cross calls National Blood Policy, which the federal government set up in 1974, supporting standardized practices and to pay donations. Apprehensives Apresis is used to extract one cellular component, returning the rest of the blood to the donor. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, begins to regulate all blood and plasma centers. Maybe I'm not able to link up, but I think because the national policy, the year might have been marked as a International Red Cross blood donation year. Stamp released in 1974, July 1st, 26 by 36, photogravure commemorative stamp with a comb 13 and 20 in space value. Then 10th anniversary of apple cultivation in Japan. It's a very interesting theme on which stamp has been released. In 1873, in their book, A Guide to World Customs, author Nagakane Masahira and his Tokyo publisher included an illustration of Newton's discovery of gravity after he saw an apple fall from the tree. But so much fruit was for sale in Tokyo. Okay. Prior to a trip to the United States in 1874, Hosokawa Junjiro, who is the best known as a legislature, not a farmer, heard from the American agriculturalists employed by the Meiji government that apples would be worth growing in Japan. Due to his efforts during his visit in US, apple trees arrived in Japan in 1874 from USA. They were distributed to research sites in Hokkaido, northern Honshu, and Nagano. Apples also found their way into farming communities through John Ing, a Methodist missionary. A farmer samurai, Kikuchi Kuro, cultivated Japan's first apple called Indo, okay? And after John Ing's home state, Indiana. So nothing to do with India, but something to do with the state of Indiana, from where he could get the first apple. Okay, stamp was released in 1975, a multicolor stamp, 26 by 30 millimeters, 20 in space value, printed in photogravure, and comb 13 and a half. Then 100 years of Japan joining the Universal Postal Union. Japan joined the Universal Postal Union, UPU, in 1877, both to force Britain to close its post offices in Japan, to participate in the novel form of internationalism developed by the 19th century by the international administrative unions such as the UPU. Stamps released, what you see is a souvenir sheet with the two stamps, 1897, June 20th, 144 by 94 millimeters souvenir sheet. 150 yens is the face value because you've got two stamps, 50 yen and 100 yen face value in the souvenir sheet. Then 9th International Conference on Edible Mushrooms in 1974. Mushrooms are called a kinoko in Japanese. Various mushrooms are used in the Japanese cuisine. Shiitake are one form of the most popular mushrooms in Japanese cooking. They're also well known outside Japan. Maitake, which grow in large colonies and sometimes referred to as the king of mushrooms. Okay. Bonashiminji is another very popular cultivated mushroom. Enoki is a cultivated mushroom with a crunchy texture. Hiratake is a Japanese name for the oyster mushroom. There are many cultivated varieties of hiratake, some of which look quite differently from each other. Once in 2 years, edible mushroom growers meet for an international conference. So the 9th International Conference on the Edible Mushrooms was celebrated in 1974. So on the 1974, November 2nd, a commemorative stamp was issued with a face value of 20 showing different mushrooms in the stamp. Then 61st Inter-Parliamentary Union Conference. IPU Assembly, formerly known as the Inter-Parliamentary Conference, is a principal statutory body that expresses the views of inter-parliamentary union and political issues. The first union conference was held in France in 1889. The 61st conference was held in Japan. There are two stamps, very beautiful stamps, and one is 1970. Both are released on 1974, October 1st. One is 36 by 26 millimeters, multicolor, printed in gold photogravure. Other one is 51 by 36 millimeters, again a photogravure printed. The first stamp being having a face value of 20 yen, and then the second one with a face value of 50 yens. Ninth World Petroleum Congress in Tokyo. The initial World Petroleum Congress is well known as the Olympics of the petroleum industry and covers all aspects of the industry, from technological advances in upstream and downstream operations to the role of natural gas and renewables, management of the industry, and its social, economic, and environmental impact. In addition, outside stakeholders such as governments, other industry sectors, NGOs, and international institutions have also joined the dialogue. The Ninth Congress was held in Tokyo in 1975, and a stamp was released in 1975, May 10th, multicolor, with no watermarks, commemorative stamp, printed in photogravure of face value of 20 years. Beautiful orange color stamp with a sun on top. Okay. Then International Women's Year 1975. The International Women's Year, IWY, was the name given to the 1975 by the United Nations. Since the year on March 8th has been celebrated as International Women's Day, the United Nations Decade for Women from 1976 to 1985 was also established. If you can look at this stamp on the left-hand side, which is 1975, June 23rd, printed on photogravure stamp with a face value of 20. And here you can see, I think it's a French stamp, the same event, printed differently. DDR, not this French, I think it's DDR, International Jardin for something. And the first day issue was 25th February 1975, again for the same International Year of Fraulein. So it's a German stamp. 3 of them were issued as second-hand stamps of that. I don't have further details on this stamp. And essentially, the first kindergarten in Japan, 1976. On November 16, 1876, the kindergarten attached to the Tokyo Women's Normal School, today's Ochanomitsu University, opened its doors with a Clara Zittelman, who was married to Azuma Matsuno, as the head teacher. She had studied early childhood education in Germany, where Friedrich Froebel had founded the world's first kindergarten in 1837. This stamp was released in 1976, November 16, 28 by 39 millimeters, no watermarks, and photogravure printed 50 yens is the face value of this stamp. 50th anniversary of health insurance system. The modern Japanese healthcare system started to develop just after the Meiji Restoration with the introduction of Western medicine. The statutory insurance, however, had not been established until 1927, and the first employee health insurance plan was created. In 1976, October 24th, 36 by 26 millimeters size stamp was released, printed in photogravure and 50 yen face value. The 16th Quadrennial Congress of the International Council of Nurses in Tokyo was released in 1977. The International Council of Nurses, ICN, is a federation of more than 130 national nurses associations, NNAs, representing more than 28 million nurses worldwide. Founded in 1899, ICN is the world's first and widest reaching international organization for health professionals. The council's once in 4 years, 16th Congress was held in Tokyo in 1977. You can see the logo on the right-hand side corner of the Congress, and then the International Council of Nurses. And this stamp was 36 by 26, multicolor, photogravure printed, released on May 30th, 1977. 27th Congress of Society of Surgery in 1977. 27th Congress of the International Surgeon Society was held in Kyoto on the 75th anniversary of its founding. And their logo is given below on the right-hand side corner. And the International Society of Surgery, or the Societe Internationale di Chirurgia, is an international society for surgeons founded in 1902. The stamp shows 1977, September 3rd, 36 by 26 millimeter, and the photograph is printed 50 years and comb 13 and a half. Then 50th anniversary of amateur radio 1977. AMs are those who use radio technology not for money, but for research, for self-training, and as a hobby. And they come in very handy in sometimes in a time of crisis. They listen and then inform people so that help can reach the people who are stranded. Even somebody is stranded in the sea, they are able to reach sometimes the hams, and they've done a great service. In Japan, unlicensed hams started their experiment and research around 1925. JARL was inaugurated in 1926. Then in 1927, about 10 private experimental radio telegraphy and radio telephony stations were licensed by the government. In 1927, Kinkichi Kusuma, JXAX, received the first license for a private experimental station. Stamp was released, and of course, they also operate on Morse code. All the hams, they're very well versed. You have to be well versed in Morse code also. And 1977, September 24th, this stamp was released as a commemorative stamp with a face value of 50 yens. The 100th anniversary of the National Science Museum, 1977. October 1871, establishment of the exhibition hall in Yushima Seido as a part of observational facilities of the Museum Division, Ministry of Education. March 1872, initial opening of an exhibition under the name of Ministry of Education Museum. April 1875, renamed as Tokyo Museum. January 1877, completion of one section of a new building inside to Nishiyonkinji Temple, Kinji Temple in Ueno. Presently, it's the site of the present Tokyo University of Arts, renamed from the Tokyo Museum to Museum of Education. This year considered to be the official year of establishment. Therefore, 1977 happens to be celebrated as a centenary year, and a stamp was released, 36 by 26, multicolor, and you can see the museum down below in the picture in line drawing, and it's a commemorative stamp with a face value 50 mm, printed in photograph view. Now, 50th anniversary of radio exercise. When we all went as a trainee to AOTS, I went there in 1972, 50 years before. And that's the time we used to have this Rajyo Taisho. In the morning when we were in the hostel, the music will be there, and all the trainees will be asked to assemble in the lawns of the Keishu Center, the training center, and the music will be there for a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and you have to carry out the exercise as per the instructor. This is to keep you fit for your health. Japan's communal exercise regime was barely changed. The Health Insurance Bureau of the Post Office, inspired among the morning exercise broadcast by the U.S. Insurance from Metropolitan Life, launched the Rajyo Taiso in November 1922 to celebrate Emperor Hirohito's formal ascension to the Chrysanthemum throne. The 3-minute routine is the perfect way to start the day. Is Yokihide Maruyama, a 17-year-old retired businessman, who has performed the routine nearly every day for a decade. The exercises aren't difficult, but afterwards you feel like your body has properly woken up in the morning. 1872, August 1st was the release of this stamp, and 30 by 26, printed in photogravure, It's a commemorative stamp with a face value of 50 yen. International Congress of Ophthalmology released in 1872. So, the World Ophthalmology Congress dates back to the first International Congress of Ophthalmology in 1857. It is the oldest continuing international medical congress. The Congress of 1878 was held in Kyoto, Japan. The ICO helps ophthalmologists to enhance their skills and clinical knowledge in order to provide high quality eye care in every country in the world. This stamp was released in 1872, May 15, and face value is 50 Japanese yen, the commemorative stamp. Centenary of the Tokyo and Osaka Stock Exchanges, 1978. The Tokyo Stock Exchange was established on May 15, 1878, as the Tokyo Kabushiki Toriikijo, and also literally means Tokyo Stock Exchange and shortened as Tokabu. Kabu is shares, and they are called as Kabu. So Tokabu is Tokyo shares. That's under the direction of the Finance Minister Okuma Shigenobu, the capitalist and advocate Shibusawa Eiichi. Trading began on June 1st, 1878. The Osaka Stock Exchange Company Limited was established and regulated in 1878, then combined with the Tokyo Exchange from the JPEX to form the JPEX in 2013. In 2014, it was renamed as Osaka Exchange Inc. OSC and became the primary Japanese derivative market. So the stamp was released on 1978, September 14, and the face value is 50 yens. Centenary of the Tokyo Astronomical Observatory. Early Japanese history, astronomical observations were sporadic and limited in scope. The first continuous methodical celestial observations began in 1782 at the Asakusa Observatory through the work of Tenmun Kata, official astronomer, under the direction of the shogun in the latter part of Edo era. In Meiji era, the observatory for student observations was established in Hongo campus of the University of Tokyo, and the Tokyo Astronomical Observatory was established in Azabu, Minatoku. And 1888, an amalgamation of 3 existing research organizations was made. So this stamp was released in 1978, November 1st, to commemorate the centenary of the Tokyo Astronomical Observatory. It's a multicolor stamp, photography printed, 50 yen as a face value. Then education of the handicapped centenary, 1879. Special education began in Japan on the later part of the 19th century. The first special school, a school for children with visual disabilities and children who were deaf, was established in Kyoto in 1878. The first social class, a class of children with intellectual disabilities, was set up in 1890 in Matsumoto City, Nagano Prefecture. In other words, special education centenary for these commemorated in 1979. This stamp was released in stamp was released on 1979, February 16. Down below, you can see a posted first day cover with the cancellations and the 3 stamps pasted together. And this stamp has a 50 yens face value, printed photograph view, and it's a beautifully designed stamp. Modern Medical Centenary, 1979. A Medical Act of 1874 established a qualification system for doctors. The first examination for medical practice license was conducted in 1875. A nationwide unified examination system was lodged in accordance with the regulation of physician's examination in 1879. Medical faculties were therefore established at the 5 high schools. Later, several private vocational schools appeared, which referred to themselves as universities. Okay, this is the stamp. She was released in 1979, April 7, 26 by 30 millimeters multicolor commemorative stamp with a comb of 3 and 1/4 and photography printed and with ordinary gum and 50 ends face value. Then International Year of the Child. UNESCO claimed 1979 as the International Year of the Child. The proclamation was signed on January 1st, 1979. There are 2 stamps and a souvenir sheet, beautifully designed. A follow-up of the 1959 Declaration of the Rights of the Child. The proclamation was intended to draw attention to the problems that affected the children throughout the world, including malnutrition and lack of access to education. Celebrating the centenary of Japan Post released 2 stamps and a souvenir sheet. They were released in 1979, August 1st, 39 by 28 millimeters, and photography printed. The face value of 50 yens each, and a souvenir sheet of 100 yens. Centenary of Japan's admission into ITU. Originally founded in 1869 to promote cooperation among the international telegraphic networks of the day, ITU predates many other standard bodies, and its long and distinguished history contains a number of important firsts, such as standardization use of Morse code and the world's first radio communication and fifth telecommunication networks. Japan has been a member of the ITU from the earliest days, having joined the Union in 1879, celebrate the centenary of joining the ITU in 1979. The country has long been a global source of innovation and leader in important emerging areas of ITU network. The ITU stamp, you can see them, you can read the ITU. 1979, October 13th, it's a commemorative stamp, 50 yens face value. The 9th World Congress of Gynecology and Obstetrics in 1979. The 9th World Congress of Gynecology and Obstetrics was organized in Tokyo, October 25th to 31, 1979. A commemorative stamp was released, 36 by 26 millimeters, and printed in photography multicolor and with a face value of 50 yens. Government Auditing System Centenary. A system of government auditing in Japan was inaugurated in 1880 with the establishment of the Government Auditing Bureau. A postage stamp was issued to commemorate the centenary of this system. The Government Auditing Bureau Act promulgated under the new Constitution of Japan, the Government Auditing Bureau responsible for auditing public finances. This stamp was issued on 1980, March 5th, 26 by 36 millimeters, commemorated 13.5 comb, printed in photogravure and ordinary gum, and its 50 yen face value. Then 50th anniversary of training sailboats. Okay, the 50 yen postage stamp has been issued on May 17, 1980 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the training sailing ships Nippon Maru and Kaio Maru. It has been 50 years since the construction of the large training sailing ship Nippon Maru and Kaio Maru in 1930. Both the ships have been identical design. They are elegant and 4-masted sailing vessels. They have come to have priceless significance to the world, crossing the oceans, the Pacific particularly, to visit other maritime nations. So far, either has logged a total about 1.5 million kilometers over the seas. During this time, over 20,000 students from the merchant marine colleges and schools have used these 2 ships for practical training. A training institute was established in 1930 under Imperial Edict number 108 to administer the 2 training sailing ships. Sorry. The Maritime Training Institute was founded as a part of the Ministry of Education, but later the name was changed to the present Institute of Nautical Training and was placed under the Ministry of Transport. You can see this gigantic, beautiful ship in the stamp released in 1980, March 5th, 26 by 30 millimeters, and face value of 50 as a commemorative stamp. Then, Centenary of Japan Fire Systems. The stamp shows Yoyosu Fire Brigade Review by Hiroshige 3, showing a new year. Hiroshige 3 has painted this, so you can see the fireman climbing on the ladders and then making tricks. It's called Deshimoshiki. This is a new year parade that they do, and this has been painted by Hiroshige 3, showing a new year fire drill, exhibiting the skill of fire service during the new year on January 6th all over Japan. In Japan, New Year is a big event. It is a commemorative stamp released in 1980 for the centenary of the firefighting systems in Japan. And this shows on the right-hand side stamp, if you see, the fireman climbing on the, and of course, Mount Fuji is, looks even smaller than because the perspective and the distance that has been covered in the stamp, but very beautifully depicted stamp. And then it's called Deshimosuki, the New Year Parade, and the fire drill of fire brigades in Japan. It is held all over Japan on the January 6th. Is one of the resuming work of the New Year vacation. That's where the Deshimosuki, the firemen, start resuming their work for the year. 1980, May 31st is the time when the stamp was released. 26 by 36 millimeters, face value of 50 yen. Then 16th International Congress of Entomology in Kyoto, 1980. The International Congress of Entomology is the largest in-person conference of science and entomology. It generally meets every 4 years and has been held in the locations around the world since 1910. Early conferences were organized by entomologists for each host country. Since 1990, the conference has been organized by the Council for International Congresses of Entomology, which, with the development of the scientific program, primarily by the entomologists from the host country. And you can see this time when the Congress was held in Japan in 1980. 1980, August 2nd, this 26 by 36 millimeters multicolor stamp was issued with a face value of 50 Japanese yens. Then you must be knowing about the Diet. The Diet is what the Japanese Parliament. So this is called the Diet. The Diet building completion had a stamp. The Diet building was completed in 1936 and was constructed out of the purely Japanese material, with the exception of the stained glass, door locks, and pneumatic tube system. The construction of the building for the Diet of Japan began in 1920, and 16 years it has taken for them to complete this. However, the plans for the building dates back to late 1880. The Diet met in temporary structures for the first 50 years of its existence, because there was no agreement for what form of building should take place. Okay, if you look at it, the two green and blue, they show how the Diet building looks outside. The carmine and the brown, they show the interior, how it looks like. These are commemorative stamp of value 1.5, 3, 6, and 10 cents. Not yet. Okay. The centenary of the Japanese yen, the Japanese Diet. You can see this is how the Japanese Diet's print looks. This 50th stamp shows beautifully the sketch of this thing. Issued for a postage stamp was issued to commemorate the 90th anniversary of the opening of the Japanese Diet. The present Diet is bicameral. Members of the House of Representatives and House of Councillors are elected by the public in accordance with the Constitution of Japan. There are 511 members in the House of Representatives and 258 in the House of Councillors. The National Diet Building is a building where both the Houses of Diet of Japan meet and sessions of the House of Representatives takes place in the left wing, House of Council is in the right wing. The construction of the building for the old Diet of Japan began in 1920. However, plans for the building were date back to 1880, about which I've already talked to you. This stamp was released in 1980, November 29, 26 by 37 millimeters, 50 Japanese yen face value. Centenary of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fishery Promotion. Agriculture, farming, fishery form the primary sector of industry for the Japanese economy, together with the Japanese mining industry. But together they account only for 1.3% of the gross national product. Only 20% of Japanese land is suitable for cultivation, and the agriculture economy is highly subsidized. The Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries, a cabinet-level minister responsible for the oversight of agriculture, forestry, and fishing industry. The acronym MAFF, MAF, the Constitution of Japan provides for the creation of a Ministry for Agriculture, Commerce, and this was established in 1881. So to commemorate the century, the stamp was released in 1991, showing all the three sectors, agriculture, farming, and fishing in the stamp, 37 by 28 millimeters, 60 years face value. Then 50th anniversary of National Park. The Japanese archipelago encompasses a diverse range of natural landscapes, from snow-capped mountains to vibrant coral reefs. National parks play a valuable role in protecting Japan's scenic beauty, cultural traditions, and the enduring relationship between humans and nature. Sorry. As of 2020, there are 34 national parks stretching from Hokkaido to Okinawa. They cover about 21,945 square kilometers of land, equivalent to 5.8% of Japan's land area. The history of Japan's national parks starts with the National Parks Act, which was passed in 1931 to recognize increasing calls to preserve and protect Japan's natural landscape. This stamp was released in 1981, July 27, 26 by 36 millimeter, 60 yen face value. The 10th anniversary of Ryukyu Islands Reversion Agreement. The President of the United States of America and the Prime Minister of Japan reviewed together on November 19, 21st, 1969, the statutes of Ryukyu Islands and the Daito Islands, the Ryukyu Island, Daito Island, referred to as Okinawa, a joint communique between President and the Prime Minister, and issued on November 21st, 1969, and agreed the government of the United States of America, the government of Japan should enter immediately into consultations regarding arrangements for accompanying the early reversion of these islands to Japan. Agreement between the United States and America and Japan concerning the Ryukyu Islands and the Daito Islands was inked at the Washington and Tokyo simultaneously on the 17th June 1971. Okinawa Islands were returned to Japan on 15th May 1972. Therefore, 1982, 15th May, this stamp was released to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the reversion of Okinawa Ryukyu Islands. The Ryukyu Islands know they're nothing other than Okinawa. The revision agreement was with a commemorative stamp, and the stamp was 60 yen face value, multicolored. The 400th anniversary of Christian Boys delegation to Europe. Tensho Kenwo Shoshinsei Shisetsu was a mission of 4 boys and others dispatched to Rome in 1582 by the Christian feudal lords of Kyushu. They returned to Japan in 1590. The 1982 stamp shows the type of 16th century ships they sailed on and a map based on the 1570 map which they brought back with them. Down below you can see the right hand side, an echo card is a kind of postal stationery unique to Japan. It bears the advertisements and sold for less than face value, with the difference being paid by the advertisement. That's a way the postal department also made some money, and The advertisers also contributed. People paid less than the face value, so everybody is happy. So Japan postmarks show 1982 being the 57th anniversary of Showa Emperor's era. These are the cancellations. You can see them there. The 4 boys who went to Rome and the ship that carried them are shown here. The stamp was released in 1982, September 20th, multicolor photographic printed, 60 yen space value. Then anniversary and jubilees, one of the important things is the 60 yen postage stamp was issued on September 29, 1982, in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of normalization of relations between Japan and China. There have been a number of stamps issued for this normalization of Japan and India. But still, there are issues that lay between Japan and China, and China making claim for certain of Japanese land. And every time Japanese Prime Minister visits, any Japanese Prime Minister visits the Shinto shrine in Kudanshita, there is always a hue and cry in China. On September 29, 1972, relations between two countries were normalized with the issue of joint statement made by the government of Japan and government of People's Republic of China. Since then, the relation with Japan has been following a smooth course of development. Of course, the recent years there are some storm in the teacup. This year, which marks the 10th anniversary of the normalization of relation between the two countries, mutual visits of the top leaders, Japan and China, and various commemorative events are scheduled to attempt to promote the development of relationship between the two countries. Depicted in the painting, reproduced by the postage stamp by Chi Nen Ten, the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest, the central building of Ein Tan Temple of Heaven. The building, located in Beijing, is where the Emperor of China used to worship. The original painting was by Ryuzaburo Umehara. You can see the beautiful stamp, and the temple where they used to pray is also there, been as a part of this park. The 50th year of National Galloper Derby, Tokyo Yushin, which is called as the Japanese Derby, Nippon Derby, is a grade 1 flat horse race in Japan for 3-year-old thoroughbred colts and the fillies ran over the distance of 2,400 meters, approximately 1 mile and 4 furlongs, at the Tokyo Racecourse Fuchu, Tokyo in late May or early June. This was run in 1932, the Japanese equivalent of English Epsom Derby. It is the second leg of the Japanese Triple Crown, preceded by Satsuki Show, the Japanese equivalent of the English 20,000 Guinness, and in the mid-late Japan, followed by Kikuka Show, the Japanese equivalent of English 10-legged stakes, the mid-late October. And there is also a first day cover that was posted to Germany, and I got this on the auction, this with the same stamp that is there on the top of them. Then the 30th, once again, okay. The 35th anniversary of Declaration of Human Rights, Jinken, Japanese word for human rights, appeared in the late 19th century. In the 1946 Constitution of Japan, Nippon Koku Kempo, that formally adopted human rights with a provision on fundamental human rights, Article number 11. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, came into effect. The year marks the 35th anniversary. The Ministry of Justice has selected the following themes to be emphasized as Human Rights Week. On coexistence of human rights, let us enrich our human relationship through understanding and respecting the other's rights and possibilities. Let us eliminate discrimination against the Buraku class. Buraku is a type of people who normally carry out certain trades. Then let's improve the position of women. Let's give the handicap the right to participate fully and equally in society. So even today in Japan, certain trades or business practices, like people who are in leather and those sort of things, they are not accepted in the normal country, even though all the class system has gone after the World War II in Japan. 1983, this stamp saw the light on September 5th, 30 by 26 millimeters, no watermark, photogravure printed, 60 yen face value. The 71st World Dental Congress issued a 60 yen postal stamp commemorating the 75th Annual Dentistry Congress of Law Federation Dentistry International (FDI), issued on 14th November 1983. The FDI was established in 1900 in order to facilitate exchange of dentistry information and advancement of dental health. Its members are drawn from various members of Dentist Association, each country, and individual dentists. We also remember, when I talk about this, I remember my friend Dr. Seto, who was from the Surumi Dental College, who used to normally come to India at his own cost to do surgeries, to show it to the doctors how this maxillofacial surgeries are being performed. So they went around various dental universities and colleges and performed them and showed on large screen televisions to all the doctors who are outside the surgery room when actual surgery was taking place in life. The annual congress, which held different country every atom, discussions on international cooperation activities and assistance to countries faced with the difficulties in improving dental care by themselves. The 75th Congress held Asia Pacific region for the first time took place in Japan in conjunction with the meeting of the Japanese Association of Dental Science. This stamp was released in 1983, number 14 and 26 by 36, photogravure printed, and 60 yen face value. Then original Gazette Centenary. This 60 yen postage stamp was issued on July 2nd, 1983 in commemoration of official Gazette Centenary. Design of the postage stamp depicts the first issue of the official Gazette against Hiroshige Ando trees color print, drawing the government bulletin and board at Nihonbashi, where you said. And from July 2, 1883, when it was first issued by the official Gazette office, until the present, the official Gazette was functioning as a government bulletin to widely contribute to both the nation and the society. This year marks its 100th year, and various events are planned in order to commemorate the issuing of the Gazette as well as to diffuse the messages widely and even recognized by the citizenry. 1983 July 2nd release stamp, 28 by 39 millimeters, commemorative in nature, and 60 yen is the value of the stamp. 50th anniversary of Japan Tokyo Baseball Club. Great Japan Tokyo Baseball Club. The team began in 1934 as the Great Japan Tokyo Baseball Club, a team of all-stars organized by media mogul Atsuro Shoriki and that toured the United States. In 1947, the team became the Yomiuri Giants, winning the final JBL championship in 1949, again under player manager Nakajima. From 1938 to 1987, the Giants played at the Korakuen Stadium, moving to their current home in Tokyo Dome in 1988. It's a attendance stamp and multicolor, released in 1984, November 15, and printed in photogravure. The Saturn pair contains 4 stamps, and each has face value of 60 yen. I always like this stamp which I possess. A very beautifully designed stamp. Lovely. And Japan's 20th Grand Confectionery Fair. Japan's Great Confectionery Fair was first held in 1911, and this year marks the 20th holding of the fair. The fair being held under the sponsorship of Japan's Great Confectionery Association in Tokyo, and under the theme Confectionery True World Language. The fair will be based on multifarious variety and cultural tradition Japanese confectionery, and will realize the dreams and expectations of consumers and children, in particular. Children's dream, disseminate knowledge of rich culture and the traditional Japanese confectionery, traditional art and culture, advance the spread of Japanese confectionery through the world, internationalization. These are the way it has been communicated, said. And 1984, February 24th was the time when this stamp was released, multicolored, 60 yen face value, commemorative of that event. The 10th anniversary of the industrial patent system. After the opening of the Japan to Western things, the patent system was introduced from Europe and the United States. In year 4 of the Meiji era, Japan publicly proclaimed its own law called Provisional Regulation of Monopoly, which is the first patent law in Japan. You can see Patent Utility and Trademark Design Stamp, released in 1985, April 18, and the 60 yen face value stamp. Then Hideki Yukawa and Mason theory, 50th anniversary. Little over 50 years ago, Hideki Yukawa, a young Japanese theoretical physicist at the University of Osaka, proposed a fundamental theory of nuclear forces involving the exchange of massive charged particles between neutrons and protons. He called the exchange particles heavy quanta to distinguish them from light quanta of the electromagnetic field. But now they are known as pions, the lightest members of a large family of particles called as mesons. These days, the meson theory seems to be a straightforward application of quantum field theory to the nuclear forces. It's the stamp that shows in 90s, Yu Kawasan, and released in 1985, August 15, 37 by 28 millimeters, printed in photography with no watermark, 60 in face value. The 20th anniversary of Japanese Overseas Cooperation Volunteers. Japan Overseas Cooperation Volunteers, JOCV, is an international voluntary service that the Japanese government provides each year to developing countries through Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. Since its foundation in 1965, JOCV was sent young adults from Japan, males and females, to help economic and social development in 88 countries around the world. The stamp was released. You can see somebody volunteer helping a local farmer in the field of agriculture. 1985, the stamp was released on October 9th. That's by 28 millimeters, 60 and space value. The Dictionary of Japanese Standard Time. Japan Standard Time of Japan, or the Japan Central Standard Time, is standard time zone in Japan, 9 hours ahead of UTC. That is, it is UTC plus 900. Japan does not observe daylight saving time, though its introduction was being debated for several occasions. During the World War II, the time zone was often referred to as the Tokyo Standard Time. Not Japan Standard Time, Tokyo Standard Time. The city of Akashi in Hyogo Prefecture. Hyogo Prefecture is the one that's in Kobe, near Kobe. Is located exactly at 135 degrees east longitude and subsequently became known as the Tokinomachi, the town of that time. So you can see the stamp released for that. 1986, July 11th, multicolor, 28 by 39, face value 60 years. And then the 16th anniversary of the reign of Hirohito, the 16th anniversary reign of his family is the Majesty, the Emperor, for which two stamps and a souvenir sheet which have released. And also now you are seeing It was day cover with cancellation. The 260 and postage stamps and the souvenir sheet were issued on April 20th, 1986 to commemorate the 60th anniversary of His Majesty Emperor. His Majesty Emperor was born as the eldest son of Emperor Taisho in 1901. Since father Emperor Taisho suffered from poor health, he ascended to the regency very early to serve the state. On the death of his father, Taisho, on December 25, 1926, he became the 124th emperor, and the era came to be known as, the era's name was changed into Showa. 1986 is the 60th year since he ascended to the throne, and April 29 was the year of ceremony celebrating the 60th anniversary to the reign of his emperor, the Majesty, was held. Centenary Modern Waterworks, 1987, at the time when the Federation of Water Authorities was established in 1904. Japan was at an early stage of introducing modern water supply. Modern water supply service was provided only in major port cities, including Yokohama. Service started in 1887. Hakodate, Nagasaki, Osaka, Tokyo, Hiroshima, and Kobe. 1987, October 16, Waterworks centenary stamp was released as a commemorative stamp of face value 60th. Centenary of food control on the rivers of Kiso, Nagara, and Ibi. Okay. During the Edo period, three rivers, Kiso, Nagara, and Ibi, could not be separated for want of adequate technology of the Satsuma clan samurai. With the Meiji era, Western technology started entering Japan. Adachi engineer Jonas D. Reischke made a study around the three rivers and made an improvement plan. The work to separate the three rivers was carried out between 1887 and 1912. The work gave the current forms of the rivers, and modern improvement age blossomed on river control and flood management since then. This stamp shows the rivers, and it is a commemorative stamp issued in 1987 on the August 7, 26 by 26 millimeters, and offset lithography, a printed stamp, 60 and space value. It's a commemorative stamp with a comb 13.25. The 40th anniversary Declaration of Human Rights, December 10th, 1988, marks the 40th anniversary of the adoption of the UN General Assembly of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. A world tour of internationally popular artists, including Sting and Bruce Springsteen, organized by Amnesty International, introduced the historic declaration of the new generation. The struggle for human rights everywhere. The declaration represents the Magna Carta, the basic rights and freedom. This stamp was released in 1988, December 5th, 26 by 36 millimeters, face value 60 yen. The 15th anniversary of Japanese Copyright Control Act. Japanese copyright laws consist of two parts, author's right and neighboring right. Such as copyright is a convenient collective term rather than a singular concept in Japan. Japan was a party to the original Berne Convention in 1989, so its copyright law is sync with most international regulations. The 1899 law protected copyrighted works for 30 years after the author's death. The stamp was released 1989, November 14th, number 17, 37 by 28 millimeters, and 62 ends face value. So thank you for joining us, and see you next week. This is two gods, supposed to be husband and wives, in the Mie picture, connected by the sacred thing. And you can see the Turi on top, and to get them with the sunrise at the top, and with the high tide and the two thing, choose small mountain-like gods, the mountain gods all together, the beautiful sunrise in near picture is always a well anticipated event for even for photographers. Thank you all very much. See you.